Hi, I'm Akshay.
And now we're now.
Welcome to The Long Take. This week we're discussing the new sort of sequel, spiritual sequel, whatever, to the original, like from a decade ago, OMG 2, which stars Pankaj Tripathi, Yami Gautam, and Pawan Malhotra mostly, and then Akshay Kumar now and then because he wants to show up. What is this movie on? And what is it like a propaganda piece? Like, I have no idea what's going on.
I have no idea either. I mean, it seems like they had 5 different ideas and they just mashed everything together and they were like, yellow, this is the best we can do.
Yeah, like why is this movie has like a religious framing to it wherein they're trying to talk about like mostly sex education?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It feels like it feels like originally it was the sex education thing
Right.
because that feels like the most, I don't know, fleshed out aspect.
Yeah, at least
of
like
this
that's the
movie.
topic, right? Like the movie could literally be called Sex Education, the movie, whatever.
But then just framing it through like a devotee's point of view feels
Yeah,
a little tacked on. I have no idea. So I know that the person who made it apparently pitched it to a bunch of people, one of whom was Karan Johar. I
Right.
don't know who else, but they passed. And then when he went to Akshay Kumar, he said yes. And quite possibly Akshay Kumar would have been like, listen, first you put me in it. Second, I can't play the main guy. I'll play this. We can just turn it into like a retroactively into an OMG kind of sequel, which means that now we'll need to have like a Bhagwan angle, and it feels like very backward kind of writing.
Yeah, it's like seems very confused. Like, what do you want to actually like? Why is the whole even Mahadev angle necessary to what you want?
I mean,
to talk
yeah.
about? Like, if it's mostly a courtroom movie, why you try to infuse like religion and God into everywhere possible? Like, why do we need to have a superhero who saves our protagonist multiple times and guides him?
This movie could have been about any number of things, right? It could have been about cyberbullying, for instance.
Yeah.
It could have been about like those hucksters who he actually kind of sues them, right? But then the movie kind of very conveniently forgets that unko bhi to sue kiya hai. It focuses on only one of those 4 people who is the principal of the school. And that is very weird, right? Because uska khud ka DNA of the movie is like, so we could do this also, we could do that also. So it feels very like, it's like when I watched It Chapter 2, my biggest takeaway was if you remove the clown, it's a better movie. It's a OMG 2 mein, if you remove like Akshay Kumar bits, then you have like a 2-hour movie that's fairly watchable. But like overall,
I'm not sure if it's watchable, but I guess if you erase every mention of religion out of the movie, then maybe what survives can be possible in some form.
Because it doesn't inform anything, right? Him being such a big bug doesn't really play into the story in any. He's not going through like a crisis of faith. He's not questioning his own God. Right? He's not like.
That's what like was mind-boggling to me, that when they sort of went into it, I was like, I don't know where the movie's going, but eventually when they get into it, I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna be about like trying to be like sex positive or whatever, which is like BS. But then I thought the character's like faith is going to be important in some way. It won't be just like have blind faith in your God and he will guide you, which is the movie's like mantra, I think. I thought that it would, as you said, at some point he would be like, wait, is my religion also playing a role in the fact how our society is set up, right? At some point they would tackle that. But if anything, the movie is like very sure that they do not want to question that. That they, at no point is India's like very religious fervor an issue at any point.
Which is very ironic considering what the first movie was, right?
Yeah.
The first movie is literally him questioning God, taking God to trial, right? But even though it was like copied, whatever, but at least banaya, you know, they were like, we'll copy it, but we'll copy this angle.
How far was it again? Was it actually in the pre like BJP era?
Yeah, 2012, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like this movie is basically like, I feel like OMG would not be sort of like even conceptualized in a today sort of environment in Bollywood, where they're like, we need to portray everything as like, you know, like straight and like this is how things are, and then religious people are amazing. Like, I mean, it's mind-boggling that, you know, someone would sit down and be like, I'm going to put Har Har Mahadev across my movie. I think it's said at least 500 times. And never acknowledge the fact that how it's so tied to how the kind of like, crimes going on in our country today.
I mean, that would be too much to ask of this movie to suddenly show
but
like.
keep invoking Mahadev the entire time. It just it has a like very different connotation in today's environment. And just
It does, but then again, like to its audience, it will not. Like you and I we can watch it and be like, oh, there is obviously like a sinister kind of undertone to it also these days. But like you can show this to a genuine devotee, they'll be like, "Badhiya to hai," They won't recognize what we're talking about. And I don't think the people who made it also kind of are really bothered about any of that. It
I don't
doesn't
know.
seem like it.
I mean, if they're not bothered about it, which I mean, I can't understand it, but like I don't know how to stomach that. But it almost feels like they're aware of it, right? Like to really codify a movie in such a way where it's so like religious forward seems like a very deliberate move, especially when Akshay Kumar is involved. Like I'm inherently suspicious, right? These days.
Of course. Like it's been that much is clear that it's got retroactively they've kind of changed it into a religious kind of framing device. That is there, and we also know why they've done it, right? Because they're trying to pander to what they see
a very
as
specific crowd, yeah.
correct. So that they're doing, but what hilariously it's backfired on them, right? Because they had to like insert a cartoon into it last minute. They had to change the character entirely, and slap with
even like the very Akshay Kumar audience, who are accepting of like whatever he throws at them.
Yeah, it's like no, buddy.
Of, like, how he like
far now.
Yeah, he's like, no, you can't play God though. That's too much.
But honestly, it's just I don't even because the movie was altered before it was released, right? So it's not like dikha diya logo ko. It's not like Adi Purush, right? Where you released it and then people got offended. How could you like make like God say certain things?
But like the CBFC is basically like today's like screening body, right? They're like the representative of India's very easily offended crowd.
So they've presumed what will be offensive and advised those changes. Which
and then given it on top of it like also an adults only certificate.
Which is fair, honestly. Considering like it opens with like naked butts, like a billion of them.
Although I don't think that's like the reason it got it, but sure.
Of course not. But like it opens with like
it opens with like 1,000 dongs just like flaring around. I'm like, what is this movie?
I was like, ye to NC-17 level पहुंचा दिए. पहले के 10 seconds.
Can't show a single breast on screen in Indian cinema, but you can put 1,000 dongs on screen. Like now we know.
It's baffling, but I'm guessing, but even if it was given an UA certificate, right, that moment would have been intact, which says a lot because our sensibilities are just
our male only censor body has no idea of where they want to actually land on what's good for the audience and what's not good.
But again, this is one of those stories where the quote unquote like adult subject matter is thematic more than what you see, right? Because it's not really, it's a children's movie basically, right? It's a fable. कि ऐसे करोगे ऐसे होगा फिर उसके बाद ऐसे, all that nonsense. But it's not really an accurate depiction of like what teenagers would go through, right? Because एक तो इतना बड़ा leap of this thing, that kid just, how is it possible for him to be this gullible when you have like the internet at your disposal? In fact, the movie is trying to tell you that the internet kind of...
Yeah, the internet is concept, but no, he's like using the internet half. He's not using the full power of the internet and actually like figuring out his problems. He's only like using the internet to a certain extent, and then he's like, oh wait, like itna pad liya, and then I'm like, I'm gonna follow this. But like no, bro, like read more. Like, the answers to your problems are on the internet. Or the entire education syllabus is on the internet.
Wohi to, I mean, so that is a little strange to me. I understand the confirmation bias. Maybe that kid, he was just so
he looked for the things he wanted to know.
Deeply like, and I mean his friend like magically like there's no one around him to kind of knock sense, and also it's very unclear how old he is. I'm guessing he's supposed to be 13, but he looks like 16.
And that's like the central like issue with the movie as well, right? Like it's trying to talk about like education for children, and then the children are like completely like tertiary to the movie. Like they don't matter. They're just on the side. The only characters who matter are all adults. 3 adults. Pankaj Tripathi, Yami Gautam and the judge. Khatam. उसमें मूवी पूरी खत्म हो जाती है उन 3 adults में.
Yeah. Which also is kind of bothersome is that Pankaj Tripathi decides to like essentially harass his own child
Yeah.
publicly without like asking him कि भाई मैं ये करने वाला हूँ, can I, should I? In fact, the child tells him also like you did this, you know, you brought the attention on me when I was already going through so much. Like, what Pankaj Tripathi is, it's kind of cruel after a point, you know?
Yeah, like the guy tries to kill himself on the rail tracks, and uske next moment Pankaj Tripathi is like, I will take this matter to court.
It's kind of weird because also like in real life, I don't think you would be legally allowed to identify the child in such a case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think there are laws to protect that. So if someone, for instance, tries to kill themselves or is the victim of this kind of, cyberbullying, you can't identify them in any way. You can't like obviously publicly state their names.
Yeah,
but
it's
also
a minor.
like you can't say
Like,
what
so there are minor
city
rights
they're
in every
from.
country, and obviously like the legal thing is obviously like whole screwed up. Like the moment the movie ends up in the courtroom, like nothing is being followed of like proper procedure.
No, but in the movie, right? In real
Yeah.
life, I'm saying that the child's rights would be protected.
Yeah.
But in the movie kind of parades the kid around as this sort of, I don't know, like he took the fall for this greater cause. So he's like
Everyone
sacrificial
is
lamb.
minor, right? Everyone just being brought into court. Like Yami Gautam is just like asking them just like the weirdest questions, and the judge is like, sure, please ask them, please answer them. And I'm like, there's no sense of like grounding it in like this is how a court case would go around.
And nobody forget like, chalo theek hai, tumhare ko in this world of the film, in the internal logic of it, if you aren't bothered about it, it's fine. But at least have somebody say कि अच्छा बच्चे पे ये बीत रही है, you know? Someone should question it. No, instead of the movie just going along with it and making the character seem a little, it's like the Drishyam thing, right? Like he's willing to put his family through anything, like intense interrogation, this, that.
Yeah, उसने decide कर लिया कि he is self-righteous, so now everyone has to pay the cost for his self-righteousness.
It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
With this guy. But because he's shrouded in this like, oh, what a neek insan, you know, like he's a bhakt and everything. So now we can't question him, but of course we can, you know. He's, just because he's played by Pankaj Tripathi, he's way more likable screen presence than Akshay Devgan. Not that anybody's questioning Akshay Devgan either, but still. But speaking of like people it throws under the bus, there's also like a sex worker who shows up randomly out of nowhere. It's like, usko bhi choose, what are you doing?
They create a redemption moment for her. At the end, she unmasks herself. She's like, oh, I feel like comfortable now. Why? Why do you feel
because
comfortable?
Pankaj Tripathi told me I'm doing Nek Kam or something.
Yeah.
Like Pankaj Tripathi was like, he did Jay to me.
And since when is like anonymous testimony allowed in court? She never identifies herself. She bears like, could be anyone under that. What kind of court in India accepts testimony from people who don't identify themselves, don't show their faces?
I mean, that I'm willing to roll with, because end mein to it becomes an outdoor court, na, like loudspeaker pe baatein ho rahi. So
that full Munna Bhai MBBS feelings in the end.
I mean, they want to be Munna Bhai MBBS, but like oddly enough, what this reminded me of was this Manoj Bajpayee movie that came out did we watch it? I don't remember.
The Z5 thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I did not touch that.
My God. So in that movie, there's a very similar thing where this Godman person kind of is like basically Asaram, right? But nobody calls him Asaram. And then this lawyer...
For legal reasons.
Yeah, lawyer takes his case on his young survivor. But anyway, the movie is again presented through the middle-aged dude's point of view. And in the end, in court, his grand argument, like winning argument, is God-related. Right? He's like, Bhagwan, like, ye paap, isne jo paap kiya hai is not a regular paap. It's then he lists out 3 levels of paap, right? Which is very educational. He's like, this paap that the Godman has done is great because he's pretending to be a Godman. So not only is he assaulting a young woman, he is also tarnishing the name of his religion. So it's a double punishment though.
Wow.
I was like, what courtroom in the world is going to accept this as valid?
Put the religion on trial.
Yeah. Here also it's like kind of strange, man. I don't understand like why.
Yeah. At some point, he would have realized, wait, why am I not questioning the people around me of who I have been part of?
Because
who have literally given me my home.
It's tri-society as a whole. But yeah, education system is an easy scapegoat. I understand like there are many flaws with it, but this doesn't seem like.
And वहाँ पे भी like they find a convenient way to blame the British. Because they're like, no, we can't actually take the blame ourselves. The Hindu, like, education system was very advanced. He had this whole Santana Dharma thing, which is again like right wing, like not job, inserted into the movie. And uske baad they're like, no. So we were advanced, British came, screwed us, and now we should blame them again. Bro, they've been gone for 75 years.
We had spaceships and everything.
Yeah. He invented zero. We were the pinnacle of civilization.
Yeah, I don't know. So obviously this movie is not really looking outward, right? It's so like limited in its worldview that it cannot even.
I think that's the most like annoying thing, right? Is that it wants to question things in our society without ever questioning something.
Without really looking inward, right? Because the central character is supposed to be this representative of this progressive thought, right? But not once does he bother to. For instance, we don't really understand if he was really very backward to begin with. Or did he magically overnight become a progressive person? Or did he always have a progressive streak but was held back by society? These nuances aren't really spelled out. Also, what he learns over like the course of a montage reads up like religious textbooks. He reads up like...
Yeah, I think there's like 3 montage. Every time like he faces a issue in court, movies like, we'll give him a week's notice, and now he will become a master and he will come with a solution with Akshay Kumar's help.
Akshay
It was
Kumar,
via a montage.
Akshay Kumar, if he was, again, like this is again one of my personal like gripes, because, and this kind of opens up conversations about larger issues, like if God exists, then why didn't he do this or that or whatever? Why didn't he prevent this, that? Putting all that aside, if Akshay Kumar is there purely to aid Pankaj Tripathi, why is he making him do all the reading? Why is he just not coming and be like, "Bhai, aise kar"? This is what? So 55 books he reads. There he's crunched for time. Just tell him, bro.
No, he will give him a very like veiled statement. उसके veiled statement से उसमें इसका वो meaning draw करेगा. Because God puts you on the path, you have to walk it.
And
that's the movie's.
Pankaj Tripathi doesn't even know that he is messenger of God or whatever, right? But to him, he's just a bum, like who looks like Jack Sparrow.
Who's just roaming around in this nondescript town for like weeks on end, looking for something.
Driving a Lamborghini.
Why do they have that? They have not like built that up or like even like hinted at it entire movie, right?
It just shows up,
all movie, all we get is like one cow following him. So it would be logical to make sure that the cow becomes a supercar at the end, right? Or like cow becomes some insane vehicle which they ride. No, they have this CGI Lamborghini.
Also, like I'm willing to bet Akshay Kumar didn't step out of a studio this entire, like उसने 2 दिन में shoot किया है.
I read somewhere that he didn't take a like salary for this movie, which seems like a PR exercise to me.
अरे he produced it. What salary? और money तो उसका जा रहा है ना. That's obviously like a PR nonsense bullshit thing. But to kind of also, now that we've touched this subject, to kind of project this movie as an Akshay Kumar movie is rude. He's barely in it. He should have been the first person to come out and be like, dude, Pankaj Tripathi carried this movie start to finish. He's leading man.
Yeah, I mean, who has the most screen time? Tripathi, Yami Gautam, and the judge. They all have like combined, like they occupy at least every frame of the movie. One of them is in every frame of the movie. So how is this an Akshay Kumar vehicle?
It's not. And I didn't hear him come out and be like, listen, it's not like a Shah Rukh Khan situation like with Deer Zindagi, right? Where he's come out, no, this isn't Alia Bhatt movie. I'm supporting performer here.
No, I think I was definitely like actively rolling my eyes after the first like 30 minutes. And just like wondering the weird like framing of it. It was like so actively like serious in the start. And I was just like, the guy's getting trolled. Like in any other movie, this would be like a half comedy for the first 30 minutes. And suddenly they kept doing this like whole serious act. I was like, why are you taking everything so seriously? I'm like, oh wait, because it's going to become a courtroom drama eventually. That's why your framing is so serious.
Oh yeah, the movie ends thrice and then it becomes a courtroom drama. And I remember looking at my watch, I was like, there is 1.5 hours left of this still.
Yeah, Yami Gautam doesn't show up until that point. And then she gets an introduction scene in some other courtroom.
And then she just, by the way, happens to hear ke aise aise ho raha hai, and then she's like, I sense this thing, so I'm going to like dip my toes into this. And she also happens to be related to the defendant.
Yep.
I was like, that's convenient. Why couldn't you have found a more elegant way of involving?
Way to like wave these and no, I couldn't just be like, the school principal is like angry, he's been sued, he goes home, and then the daughter walks in who's also a lawyer and like, dad, what happened? And he's like, okay, I'll represent you.
Yeah, or
That's
just
more like-
he gets sued and he's like, I wish I knew a lawyer.
Who can I think of to represent me? I'll call my daughter.
No,
Simple. Their family.
but no, the movie had to like make it a coincidence.
Yeah. She walks in and she tells a big whole scene where she like tells the 4 lawyers to be like, you go away, I'll do
But
it.
it's clearly like an attempt to kind of villainize her, right? Just to make the audience be like, ye to villain hai.
The entire movie, I think they keep trying to find ways to villainize her. And it's just even more like sort of like weird on another level because she's the only like not developed, but like she's the only like female character with any screen time, like proper screen
Who
time.
speaks, basically, besides the
Yeah,
sister.
speak. So basically, the movie feels very anti-women and anti-English speaking, like, I don't know, people.
Yeah, it's like, tum hoity-toity, what do you know about like the heart of India? This, that, you know, tum...
Yeah, like, stop talking in English. And I think that also feels like a very coded message in the movie.
Yeah,
Don't talk in English.
Yeah. It is.
Talks in Shuddh Hindi.
Which she says, and then she kind of fumbles also.
Like they laugh at her, right? At one point, he's like, I'm going to compliment you. And then he compliments her in like very like weird, like Hindi words no one's heard in like 5 days.
Yeah, that was such a strange like detour. The movie took for 10 minutes where he comes.
Yeah.
He has his brainwave. He's like, words ka meaning can change the meaning of the sentiment.
Yeah.
How interesting. Where will you go? And then it just went in the most craziest direction.
So everything in this, like the choices the movie makes is very, very off-putting. And 3 seconds after she loses the case, she's like,
Redeem.
I was just doing it for as a job. I agree with you.
It's like one of those things, right, where we spoke about like how like unexpected, like refreshing it was for Jaya Bachchan to be left as a villain.
Yeah.
in that movie, and now here they're like, no, literally 2 seconds.
ये हमारी female lead है. Yami Gautam looks like very pretty as an actress, so we must redeem her in 2 seconds.
Well, they even redeem the villainous kind of sadhu, right?
Yeah, everyone. That was my like sort of way of like discovering that they're never going to go against a religious person in this movie. Every religious person is a good person at the end, even though like, you know, the Pankaj Tripathi is like whatever senior in the temple, like gets him kicked out of the school or whatever, helps doing that. He's redeemed. He's not the abuser. Uska some random like person in the family is the abuser.
I'm surprised.
So if you are religious in the world of OMG 2, you cannot be a bad
I'm
person.
surprised they didn't outright just have Yami Gautam declare that she is an atheist or something.
Yeah, just to like even
or just
punch it in even more.
Or give her a Muslim name, you know. That would have been on brand.
I mean, I think that this is excluded. There's no Muslim in the movie anywhere. It's like thrown out of the movie. You don't exist for us.
Chalo fir.
That's all. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Threads at thelongtakepod. You can write to us at thelongtakepod@gmail.com. Wherever this episode, please leave us a rating and a review, and we will see you next week.